Let me ask you something, Varun. You get married in May 11th. You go on your honeymoon. You disappear on May 23rd. Your body is found 10 days later at the bottom of a gorge, hacked with a machete. And the person who planned it all? Your bride.
Dude, that's not even a horror movie. That's news headline.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Think Now podcast. I'm Abhishek.
And I'm Varun. And today we are going somewhere dark. Really dark.
Five cases, five victims, five families waiting for justice. And in every single one, the system is still figuring it out. We are not here to sensationalize. We are here to ask the uncomfortable question: why does it take this long?
Let's go.
Varun, when I first read about Twisha Sharma, I stopped because she wasn't just a name, she was a former model. She had a life. She got married on December 9th, 2024. That's barely 18 months from where we are sitting right now.
And she's dead. And nobody can clearly explain why.
Here's what makes this one especially suffocating. The mother in law, Giribala Singh, is a retired district judge. The woman accused of tormenting Twisha about dowry of mental and physical harassment. She knows the system inside out.
Which probably explains why it took so long to even register a proper FIR. The Bhopal police did it 2 days after Trisha's death. 2 freaking days.
And even that FIR had procedural lapses so severe that the MP High Court ordered AIMS Delhi, not local doctors, to conduct a second postmortem. Think about what that says. The first postmortem was essentially useless in establishing the cause of death.
Samarth, who's the husband, absconded for 10 days. 10 days in a murder investigation. And nobody stopped him until Jabalpur police picked him up on May 22nd. The, Sup- the Supreme Court had to step in. The Supreme Court had to tell the CBI, go do your job. That's how broken the initial investigation was. Here's my question though, and I want the listeners to really think about this. If Giribara Singh were not a retired judge, would this case have moved even slower or would it have moved faster?
I think you already know the answer. Power protects power until it can't anymore.
And what does it say that her anticipatory bail is still being contested? As of now, she hasn't even been formally arrested. She's a prime accused in a dowry death case and she's walking freely on anticipatory bail.
That's not justice. That's a privilege gap with a dead woman at the bottom of it.
Now, let's look into the Raja Raghuvanshi case. Okay, so here's a case that genuinely made me feel sick. Not because murder cases don't exist, they do, but because of the sheer calculation behind this one.
12 days into marriage, Varun. 12 days.
And the plan to kill Raja was in motion 11 days before they even got married.
Let's just be brutally clear about what happened. Sonam Raghuvanshi was in a relationship with a 19-year-old named Raj Kushwaha. Her family arranged her marriage to Raja. Instead of walking away or being honest, Sonam and Raj sit down and plan a murder.
They chose Meghalaya specifically, which is a remote state with dense forests, gorges, it's even far from home. If you're planning a murder, it's actually, and I hate saying this, a calculated location choice.
They booked one-way tickets. Police confirmed this. She never intended to come back with him.
They tried to kill him 4 times. 4 freaking times. I don't know what takes that much of persistence, honestly. This wasn't just a crime of passion, this was persistence. This was commitment to killing an innocent man. And after it was done, Sonam went back to Indore, stayed in rented flat for 3 days with normal life. Her husband's body was decomposing in a gorge 1500 kilometers away.
And honestly, what does that level of detachment tell you about someone? It tells me that this wasn't just a breakdown. This was deliberate. And that's what makes it very terrifying. Not the act, but the absence of any emotional response.
The one moment of humanity in this entire story was her own brother, Govind Raghuvanshi, who publicly stood with the victim's family. He went to Raja's mother, he held her hand, and he said he will fight for justice until the end.
That hit me because in a story full of betrayal, he is that one person who chose right when it was the hardest.
The investigation is still ongoing which is still ongoing. Sonam has filed for bail, claiming flaws in the charge sheet. Five accused in judicial custody, and a family in Indore trying to make sense of the fact that their own son was killed on what was supposed to be the best trip of his life.
Justice hasn't arrived yet, but at least in this case, it's coming.
And now let's get into the Vimal Negi case.
This one, this doesn't have the drama of the others, but it might be the most important one we discuss today. Because Vimal Negi wasn't killed in a gorge in Meghalaya. He was killed by a desk, a payroll, a system that grounded him until he was broke.
Or even he was killed. We don't know yet, and that's the point.
Here's what we know. This man joined HPPCL, a government powered corporation in Himachal Pradesh, as a chief engineer on June 15, 2024. By July 1st, 16 days later, he already on anxiety medication, 16 days into a new job.
His wife said he was forced to work late, and they even denied his leave, and even he was harassed by seniors even when he was sick, and nobody above him cared at all.
On March 10th, 2025, Negi disappears. 8 days later, his body is fished out of Gobind Sagar Lake. The postmortem says he died around March 13th. That means there are 4 days between March 10 and March 13th, completely unaccounted for. Where was he?
And instead of finding out, the police ASI who recovered a pendrive from the body, Pankaj Sharma, quietly took possession of it, told nobody, and then he wiped it clean.
A fisherman caught him talking about it on a phone call. A fisherman, Varun, the local fisherman, is doing better detective work than the police.
And if that doesn't make you furious, I don't know what will.
The CBI charge sheet tells us why the harassment might have been happening. There's an allegation of a rupees 13 crore fraud in the Pikul Bela solar powered project. Documents faked, completion certificates issued for incomplete work. As a chief engineer, Negi would have known. He might have been the inconvenient witness.
So the question isn't just did they harass him to death? The question is did they need him gone because he knew too much?
And the answer to that question is in a pen drive that no longer exists.
Well, the case still continues and the family waits. The rupees 13 crore is somewhere and Vimal Negi is gone.
Now let's have a look at the Darshan Renuka Swami case.
I want to start by saying the name that matters most in the story. Renuka Swami, 32 years old, only son, and his parents' entire world.
And he's dead because he sent messages that he shouldn't have sent. Now, I'm not saying the messages were okay, they weren't. But the punishment for inappropriate messages is not death by torture.
Let's be clear about what allegedly happened here. Renukasamy sent messages to Pavitra Gowda, who's Darshan's partner. Darshan, for those outside Karnataka, is not just a celebrity, he's a phenomenon. He's a challenging star, a man with a following that worships him.
And that following, that power, may have made him believe consequences that didn't apply to him. Because what allegedly happened next is medieval. Renuka Swami was allegedly abducted, tortured, and killed. His body was found discarded.
He was a 32-year-old man and the only person in his family earning money. And now he has gone.
What makes this culturally important and why we are talking about it is that it represents something India keeps grappling with, the relationship between celebrity worship and accountability.
When Darshan was arrested, there were fans crying outside the jail, literally crying for a man accused of murder. And that is not Darshan's fault. That's a cultural problem that we have been built over decades of treating actors like gods.
A man is dead, a family is destroyed, and the trial is still running. We don't have a verdict. We have allegations, a charge sheet, and a courtroom.
And somewhere in Chitradurga, Renukaswamy's parents are still waiting, not for headlines, but just for justice. And now let's take a look at the Sippy Sidhu case.
Varun, do you know something? In September 2015, a man was shot dead in a public park in Chandigarh.
And here we are, sitting here in 2026, and this case still doesn't have a verdict at all.
11 years. CP Sindhu was a national level shooter, a corporate lawyer who ran his own firm. He was found shot dead in Sector 27 Park, and for the first 5 years, nothing.
The CBI took over in 2016 and they also announced a public reward of 5 lakh rupees for information. And in 2020, they filed what is essentially an I give up report, an untraced report after 4 years of investigation, the CBI.
But here's where it gets very extraordinary. 2 years after that untraced report, in June 2022, the CBA comes back and arrests Kalyani Singh.
Kalyani Singh, who is the daughter of then acting Chief Justice of the Himachal Pradesh High Court.
That is who they believe accompanied Sippy's killer that night, the daughter of the woman running the state's highest court.
The alleged motive is a relationship between Sippy and Kalyani that turned toxic after he refused marriage.
Now that arrest happened, she's been in judicial custody. Her lawyers say the charge sheet is flawed, but the CBI maintains it has documentary evidence and witness testimony placing her at the scene.
Now, what this case asks us is, and I think is the most important question of the episode is: does power ever truly face conflict consequences in India?
Because Twisha's mother in law is a retired judge, Sippy's alleged accomplice is the daughter of a judge. Vimal Negi was being allegedly crushed by the government officials with a departmental power. Raja was killed by people who thought geography wouldn't protect them.
Power, Abhi, power. In every single case on this episode today, power is somewhere in the equation.
And that should terrify as all of us because most of us we have none of it.
So, Abhi, we have done almost 5 cases, starting from the Tusha, Raja, Vimal, Renukosami, Sipi, 5 families, 5 victims, and in every single case, investigation is still ongoing.
You know what the common threat is beyond power?
Yeah, go ahead.
Time. Every single case has been slowed down by privilege, by bureaucracy, by evidence tampering, by anticipatory bails, by courts with packed dockets, and while time passes, families age, witnesses forget, evidences degrades, and the accused, they wait.
And we move on because the next story breaks and the next outrage happens. We share a post, we forget, and then in 6 months, someone asks, "Whatever happened to that case?" And just nobody has an answer.
That is exactly why we made this episode. Not to give you facts. You can Google facts. We made this to force a feeling because anger is the only thing that creates accountability. Public memory is the only pressure that keeps these cases from going cold.
So here's what we are asking for you: not to tweet or not even to repost, but to just remember Trisha Sharma, Raja Raghuvanshi, Vimal Negi, Renukasamy, CP Sidhu.
Say their names, not for us, for them.
And that's all from our side today. If you learned something valuable, please hit the like button. And for more such insightful and unspoken topics, follow us on both Instagram, YouTube, and
Spotify.
Spotify. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, bye.
Stay thinking, stay angry, stay human.